The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good evening. Welcome to the Senior Show. I'm your co-host, Neil Himmelstein, also from the Main Street Code, owner of Main Street Planning Group, with Tim Kennedy, certified reverse mortgage specialist. And Tim, take it away.
Neil, formerly from It's Just a Mortgage, but hey, it's now the Senior Show, helping navigate change with planning experience with a peace of mind. And today we have a special guest. We have Ron Fatoullah, elder law and estate planning attorney. Hey, Ron, you know, we usually screw up the introduction, so we're going to let you introduce yourself. How about that?
I think I know myself pretty well at this point. Yep. But yeah, I'm an elder law and estate planning attorney. Been doing this for many, many years, 35 years. Love what I do, based on Long Island forever. And elder law is such an important area. You know, people don't realize that as they age, you need to plan. And we're there to help people plan as well as you, and we work together.
Mm-hmm. So our motivation with this show is really to bring in professionals like you and other parts to the puzzle, right, Neil, on how people should be planning, when they should be planning, and what they should do during that. Just because you set a plan doesn't mean it's written in stone. You know, there are timetables and life events where we may have to change or adjust those plans, right?
All the time. You know, life happens to us, and we have to be prepared. Any plan that we do has to be fluid, and we have to be flexible.
I always use the quote, what does God do while we're making plans? Right? He giggles. Right?
He giggles. Yeah. And we have to adjust. You know, that's the way it works.
We have to adjust. You know, Tim and I were talking before the show started. My expertise is in insurance, and I work with a lot of trust attorneys, estate attorneys, and doing different things. And we were talking about a client, and it was really a couple. They were 75 years old, and unfortunately, his wife died at 75, and he had $1 million in his 401k, and they did some planning. They did a will like when they were 65 and everything, and had a house paid for, probably worth about $750,000, and he had a life insurance policy of $2 million. And his wife was beneficiary of everything. Well, after she died, he still remained in the house. The house started to not be kept up as well. And at 80, he passed, and he had 4 children. Never changed the beneficiaries on anything. So now my question is, now what? So I'm going to ask you, Ron, because I have my own things, to say, but tell me, each asset, what happens? What happens to the house?
Sure. Well, if the house is not in a living trust, then the will control. So if he had a last will and testament, that would set forth where the house goes. So we have something new in New York. It's a TOD deed where you can actually put a beneficiary's name on an actual deed to a home. But a lot of title companies are not crazy about it. So the best way to do it is a living trust. But if he had no living trust, then his will would control. So if he said in his last will, all my assets go to my children.
He didn't. He said, all my assets go to my wife.
Well, in a will, there's got to be a backup. Any good attorney will not just leave it at a spouse. They would say, I give everything to my spouse. If she predeceases, then my children. But if that didn't happen, in New York State, we have a law, the Estates, Powers, and Trust Law. Section 4-1.1 gives a schedule as to where your assets go if you don't have a beneficiary on them. Okay. And if there is no will. Okay. And no living trust. So it does say.
So where would his house go? He's got 4 children.
If the spouse predeceases and the individual has no parents, well, spouse predeceases, it goes to the children, according to New York law.
Equally?
Equally.
Okay.
And if he's estranged, from one child, didn't want that child to get, too bad.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about his 401k?
As you know, there should be a beneficiary designation on that.
Oh, there was
401k.
his wife. He never changed it.
He never changed it and never added a contingent.
Correct.
Then it would go to the children, either through his will if he had one, or through this intestacy. If you have no will, the schedule. And if the spouse predeceases, to the children.
Doesn't it go to probate?
It will go through administration if there's no will, and probate if there is a will. That's why a living trust is important. And on any retirement account, you want to have beneficiaries. You want to have designated beneficiaries on IRAs, 401ks,
Savings
403s.
account?
If not necessarily savings, a living trust would be better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the worst case scenario. And this is not a real client, so you know. I just wanted to throw it out there,
Right.
because I want to talk about how we prevent this thing. Worst case scenario, the house needs to be repaired and they have to sell it, right? Possibly to divide it in four. There's no other way to divide a house in four. That's the problem with a house. Houses are wonderful things, but how do you divide them in four? I've found in my planning through the years that one child wants to live in it, one child wants to rent it out, and one wants to sell it because they need the money. And I don't know why, whenever you have two or more children, you always get this where you have three different directions of where, so it leads to a lot of confusion. But let's say worst case scenario, they can't find the will, nothing else, they don't have the beneficiary set up. We have to go to probate. How long does that take?
Well, it would be administration if there is no will.
Okay.
So probate is if you have a will, the administration proceeding if you don't have a will. It would go to all four equally. A little more complex, but not crazy. So the procedure will take at least a minimum 7 months, typically about a year.
Okay, so for 7 months, maybe a year, typically, who's keeping the house up? I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, it's difficult. But once we get letters of administration, someone came forward, one of the kids, maybe a couple of the kids would come forward. We want to be the administrators, almost like the executors of a will. We would get letters testamentary. We would have access to dad's money, and then the house would be taken care of until it's distributed.
Gotcha. And then there's a further complication now with the Secure Act 2.0, where the 401k, now not only does it have to be split into four, they have to take it out over 10 years.
Yep.
Which could create major planning problems for the children, which I talk about on a lot of shows. I don't want to go crazy. But Tim, I want to go back to you, because as soon as mom passed, he should have done planning, correct?
He should have done planning before mom passed.
Exactly. And the children, in my mind, should have been engaged and involved then. Because now what you have is you've got 4 children who may or may not get along, who, when it comes to money and assets, definitely...
Oh, when it comes to money, forget about it, right? People change, the spots change, right?
The spots change. Or if there's any possessions in the house, this one wants that one, this one wants that one, and then you have battles, and nobody wants to see their kids.
Well, I hear it. I hear it all the time in this scenario, and I'm sure you must say it all the time in your seminars. When there's a life change or catastrophic event, you know, all that planning has to be relooked and reviewed, right?
Anytime there's a change in life circumstances, a death, a divorce, etc., absolutely.
Hey, Ron, we're going to go to break, but real quick, why don't you just give out your name, phone number, and email address, and how people can reach you?
Sure. Again, my name is Ronald Fatoullah. I chair the Elder Law Practice Group at Meltzer, Lippe. Our phone number is 516-466-4422.
Neil?
Neil Himmelstein. Best way to reach me, 631-647-4694, or visit me at themainstreetcode.com.
And my name is Tim Kennedy, your certified reverse mortgage professional. And you can reach me at 516-729-6040 or timtalksreverse.com. And we'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Senior Show. If you were listening before the break, we have Ron Fatoullah with us.
Hi there. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Elder Law and State Attorney Tim Kennedy.
Certified reverse mortgage professional.
And Neil Himmelstein, insurance wholesaler and expert in life insurance, disability, long-term care, annuities, and life settlements.
And Neil, what's our tagline? Helping navigate change with planning experience and peace of mind.
Exactly. And change is all about us. And I'm so glad we have Ron with us today. You know, during the break, we were talking about the Secure Act 2.0. I brought it up because there's so many complications with this that people did not plan for. You know, there's a guy on TV, what's his name? Ed Slott, who
I love Ed Slott, man.
I love Ed Slott, too. I had a big argument with Ed Slott years ago. A big argument. He's at a life insurance convention, and he's talking about the stretch IRA. And this is the best thing in the world. I go, hey, dude, you're at a life insurance convention. The best thing in the world is life insurance, not the Roth IRA or the stretch IRA. So anyhow, now he's singing my tune.
I'm a big fan of Ed Slott because he's a big fan of reverse mortgages. And
he's a big fan of life insurance all of a sudden.
And his big quote is, even though we call him Uncle Sam, he's really not our uncle. And there's no reason why we need to give him all our money.
You got it. You got it.
Well, one of the complications occurred that the stretch IRA got eliminated with the Secure Act 2.0. So what the stretch IRA did is allowed someone to take distributions or beneficiaries over their lifetime, but that got eliminated with Secure Act 2.0, where you now have to take it over 10 years. Now that causes a lot of complications to beneficiaries. One, your IRA is not only income taxable, it's also part of your estate. It's estate taxable. So it's a very heavily taxed item. Now, it's designed for distribution. The 80-year-old we talked about earlier, I would have given him a distribution plan prior to his passing. And if we could, maybe secure some of that money in life insurance or Roth IRAs, something that goes tax-free that doesn't get attached to his estate, that gets double tax. Also, for the kids that have to take that money in 10 years, that could adversely affect them if they have special needs. You're off the special needs program, you now have income. If you're making a lot of money, you're now in a new tax bracket. If you're younger, maybe in your 20s, and this and that, and not financially developed, you're going to buy a new car and spend your money, and all that legacy will disappear very quickly. So anyhow, these are the problems. And there's some new things with Medicaid and whatnot that Ron is going to talk about from the legal standpoint.
More than happy to do that. You know,
Thank you.
So we just got brand new Medicaid numbers in, literally within the last couple of days, even though we're in February at this point. So to be eligible for Medicaid as an individual for long-term care, either home care for a home health attendant or nursing home care, you have to have limited assets. So the asset level currently just went up to about $33,000 for an individual. However, several years ago, I challenged Medicaid in New York City. After my challenge, retirement accounts in payout status are exempt from Medicaid. And that's huge.
Yes.
So if a client of mine has $500,000 million in an IRA, they still can go on Medicaid. But the distributions are considered income. But very interesting, what Nassau and Suffolk counties were doing, DSS and Nassau and Suffolk counties were actually using their own life expectancy charts from Medicaid, which caused distributions to be much, much higher.
Correct.
Well, as of just a couple of months ago, not even, the federal government said you don't have to maximize your Social Security income. So now, Nassau and Suffolk counties are just using the uniform chart for Social Security distribution. So if a client, let's say you have to start to take your distributions now at age 73, you take whatever is in that retirement account at December 31 of the year before, divided by, I think it's 26.5 at age 73, you get a number. Nassau and Suffolk counties can't go over that. And it's been a huge, huge help for individuals. What's even better, well, unfortunately, if you do need Medicaid prior to age 73, the rule is you just have to put the retirement account in payout status for it to be exempt for Medicaid. But prior to age 73, you don't have to take distributions. So the word is, and we spoke to Medicaid themselves, they said, well, just put it into payout status. And I asked, well, what does that mean? I said, well, $1 a month, $100 a month, you could do anything. So if a client has an IRA of $500,000, let's say, and is 70 years old, needs Medicaid, well, we don't have to take much in distributions. That individual could go on benefits, go in a nursing home, get needed home care, and still have a bit of a nest egg for himself or the family later on.
Right. But again, what we try and do is plan out those distributions. And one of the ways we do it is we can give you a guaranteed income for life with annuities. And annuity planning is some of the best way, pre-planning, to do that. And with a lot of people that have high IRA assets, we highly recommend that they develop a spending plan and don't leave their beneficiaries holding the bag, because it's it's toxic money. Yeah. It's meant to spend.
Right.
So come up with a plan and help spend it. And if you want to leave a legacy, there's better ways of leaving a legacy than leaving the retirement accounts.
And Neil, you said it before. People don't realize that a retirement account is part of their taxable estate.
Correct.
You haven't paid income taxes on it yet, but nevertheless, it's still part of your taxable estate.
Right.
So you have to be very careful.
I talk to people all the time, and they'll say, "Oh, I got Tim. I got $1 million, $2 million in IRAs," and I say, "Yeah, but you have a partner in that." Yeah. Right. So the federal government's going to take that piece of it. So even though you think you have $1 million, maybe you have only 600,000-700,000. You know, right. So they got to take that into account.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
That's a big thing. And you mentioned long-term care. So we do a lot of long-term care planning. It's changed over the years. The product has changed because we are living much longer on claim, so to speak. And between they used to call it Medicaid planning. You can't call it that anymore. Now it's elder care planning. I hate to say it, but I think I'm an elder.
We're getting there, Neil.
I don't know what happened.
It happens.
I say an elder is just someone older than me. That's a way. Well, as I get older, it's got to be someone older than me.
Yeah. So, but elder care planning shouldn't just be for the elder. It should be for the children and them. You really want to do family planning because it affects everybody.
Thank you so much. People don't realize, I have to plan for mom. I have to plan for dad. It's a holistic plan that everyone should be together.
Right.
Even if there's a taxable estate, the New York State estate tax level is $7.35 million. Most people don't have that number. So most people don't have to worry. But those that do, we need to do it holistically. Right. Some children could have money. We may want to skip a generation. We may be worried about special needs children. Dad may need care in the future. The children may or may not. There may be toxic relationships between families. So many issues come up, and we have to be prepared for that. Right. And we should plan in advance.
Oh, it's better that we prepare before this happens than after.
Well, it's like lending. The banks only lend you money when you don't need it, right? So the idea is you got to prepare and plan prior to it. So, hey, that was a quick 30 minutes, right, Ron?
Sure was.
You are a tremendous guest. Obviously, we can't do all of this. 20 minutes doesn't give it justice. We'd love to have you back as a guest in the near future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Again, my name is Tim Kennedy. I'm your certified reverse mortgage professional. And my co-host, Neil
Himmelstein, Main Street Planning Group, insurance expert, and Ron
Fatoullah, Elder Law and Estate Planning. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and have a great evening, everyone.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.